Welcome back to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. This is the place where we master the skills we need to navigate leadership and life with ease. How are you? I hope that you are having the most amazing of days. As I record this, it is Monday. I am sitting outside in my sun porch. It is a beautiful, beautiful last day of September afternoon. The sun is shining. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And today, I want to get real with you about what's been going on with me. Now, I want to give you some context. So, since the summer, I have been working on and honing my intuition. And several weeks ago, I started to notice that I was seeing snakes everywhere, real ones. When I'm out for a walk, some of them are alive, some of them are not. When I'm out for a run, I notice them online, I notice them on Instagram, and I even started to dream about them. So let's just say they were everywhere. And each time that I saw a snake, it stirred my thoughts about their remarkable ability to shed their skins and transform throughout their lives. So they have this natural process that, I mean, I didn't know about this. I had to go and like do some research on it, but their process of shedding skin made me reflect on our journey of transformation as a human because those skins that they let go of, their quote unquote old selves, they let go of them so that they can embrace the new growth. And we too have the same capacity to evolve and redefine who we are. And just as they are much more vulnerable when they're like transitioning from their old to their new, so too are we as humans. So before I go a whole lot further, I want to tell you the truth. Snakes terrify me. But I couldn't ignore them or the invitation to check in with my intuition for the deeper message when I saw another one of these beautiful snakes on Friday during my walk. Now, on Friday, what I did differently is I decided to pause. I decided to check in with my intuition and really listen. I sat down on a rock. I took a few deep breaths. I put my hand on my heart and I asked, what is the message for me here? What is this about? What do I need to know right now in this moment? And the answer that came back to me was so simple and yet it was so profound. It is time to shed the skin you're in. Step up, step out, and be fierce in doing so. Do not be afraid. Now, I will admit that answer scared me, especially because snakes have always triggered fear within me. Now, I shared my reflections within the community that I am working on and honing my intuition. We have a community, and I shared this reflection there. And one of my beautiful peers indicated that fear, the fear within me, was activated within my root chakra. Now, I don't know a lot about that, but I do know that my soul is wanting to shift. It's wanting to shift. It's wanting to change. I'm not exactly sure what it is wanting to shift and change into, much like the snake, but I do know, I can sense, I can feel, I can intuit that there is a shift and a change coming. So they asked me to consider, they being my peer, what the fear was holding me back from shedding and releasing. And the simplest answer came so quickly. It's the fear of the unknown and of trusting even more of my intuitive connection. And this posed another question. So, if that is the case, what will release fear? Now, fear often relates to the power within us, right? That innate sense of ability within us, that intuitive sense, the thing that tells us we want to say something, we want to do something, we want more than what we have right now, right? That power within us that begins to step forward when we shed the skin that we're in. That's when the fear shows up because fear wants to make the power within cower and stay in the old skin. The power within, or to say it differently, the soul power, the soul desire is limitless and so much stronger than the fear from the brain, which is also limited. So fear knows that soul is a powerful and worthy opponent. So as all of this was happening, I had a moment where I realized that along the way, I have become the human who transmutes fear through gratefulness because it creates growth. Now, why do I say that? I say that because whenever I notice a fear, I want to face it. I see it as an opportunity for me to grow, to learn something else about myself. Can I do this thing? Why do I think I can't do that thing? I realize and recognizing it's all programming. It's all old programming, what I was taught, what I had learned. So my peer offered me some reflection questions that I walked with and sat with over this last weekend. So I'm recording this on Monday. I've just spent literally 2 or 3 days thinking about this. And I've learned that ultimately the message isn't just about fear, it's also about trust. Trust that I don't need to have all of the answers right now. Trust that stepping into the unknown is exactly what I need, even if I can't see the path ahead of me. Trusting the process of life means that I'm here for it, regardless of wherever it takes me, that I'm willing to share my vulnerability with you because I believe that leaders go first. They lead by example. And so for me, I have to have trust and faith in myself and what I'm wanting to share from my heart, that it is the most important thing, and not allow it to be limited by my brain or by a plan or by anything outside of me, but to just really speak to you from what's going on within me. So here's what I want to invite you to reflect on with me today. As you listen to my reflections, I encourage you to ask yourself, what is your snake right now? What fear is asking to be faced so that you can shed what no longer serves you? And where in your life are you being called to trust and step out, even when the outcome isn't clear? So I'm going to dive into these questions. The very first one was, what no longer serves, resonates, or aligns with power over structures in my life? Now, I think about power over structures as anything that is outside of me. So as I reflected on my journey, I realized that many of the security and control mechanisms that I used to rely on no longer resonate with who I am. In the past, I was hyper independent. I was believing that I had to handle everything myself in order to create stability in my life. However, I've come to understand that this mindset no longer serves me. I've learned to trust others and embrace collaboration, freeing myself from the need to control any and every outcome. So, acknowledging that I don't have to navigate everything alone or do everything alone has been so liberating for me. Now, there also was a time when external achievements, titles, recognition, and traditional metrics of success drove me, right? It's like I was just a human like everyone else, right? The car, the house, etc. And I'm not suggesting that that's not important at all. That's not what this is about. It's about evolving from that. It's about questioning whether that was serving me or not. Because as I evolved, I found that those old markers held less and less value for me. My focus has shifted to leading from a place of being who I am, authenticity and service, and finding satisfaction within myself and the work that I do rather than seeking validation from other people. Now, that's great when I get it, but ultimately it's me looking after me, that I'm sufficient within myself. I'm well resourced within myself to give myself what I need. Now, earlier in my career, of course, I often made a lot of decisions from a place of fear. Fear of scarcity, fear of failure, or fear of losing control. I mean, if that fear based mindset no longer aligns with my values or my vision of leadership, when I think about leaders out there in the world, I don't want to follow a fear based leader at all. I want to follow someone who's going to inspire me and who's going to lift me up and help me see that there are more possibilities for me than what I could even see. And so that fear based mindset no longer aligns. I've mentioned that. And I'm now dedicated and devoted to empowering others and lifting them up rather than exerting any power over them. I would rather work with them with a power to structure, right? We have an energy exchange where we're both giving power to the situation and solving it collectively. Because my goal is to inspire through compassion and shared growth, not control. Now, I recognize also that some of my earlier beliefs, shaped by societal and family expectations, how so many of those held me back. Now, those beliefs created a form of, I'm going to use it like in air quotes, a form of power over myself. which actually suppressed my true desire in favor of what I thought was expected, right? So instead of doing what was really on my mind or saying what was on my mind, doing what was on my heart or my soul, or being the person I wanted to be, I wasn't doing that. Instead, I was putting myself in this box and doing what I was expected. And so, no more. I'm not going to do that anymore. I am actively letting go of these outdated beliefs. I am embracing freedom, creativity, and authenticity in my work and in my life and who I am as a human. Now, in my corporate roles, I operated with a traditional power structure where decisions were made from the top to the bottom, and it was my role to help implement them. And today, as a coach, I'm no longer aligned with that. Instead, I'm aligned with a co-creative approach, working alongside with others to empower and uplift rather than impose authority. I value the collaborative process, focusing on inspiring growth rather than dictating it. The time for dictators is over. It's coming to a close. So for me, I used to tackle challenges with sheer force, but now I'm learning the value of surrender. That's what I've been focusing on this entire summer, trusting the flow of life, my intuition, and the natural unfolding of events as they happen. And that shift, especially, will allow me to respond to life with trust and faith rather than any forced outcomes, and aligns so much more closely with who I am today. So the second question that I was walking with is, what fear is holding me back from releasing power over? So let's just qualify this by saying there's a lot of conditioning. We have been taught to think and believe certain things, and that there is a right way to find things. But I've also traveled far on my journey so far. And of course, fears still surface that prevent me from fully stepping into my power. And some of these fears feel so deeply ingrained, as I'm sure that they do for you, and as if they've been a part of my life for so long that they've shaped how I perceive and how I navigate the world. So there's some walking outside of those types of stories that I need to do for myself, because I've always provided, not provided, I've prided I've prided myself on being in control of my life, my career, and my emotions. And yet there's this part of me that fears letting go and truly surrendering. It's worried that everything will fall apart. And that fear often leads me to grip so tightly that even though I understand that growth and transformation require releasing control and trusting the process, I still grip because control feels safe. And control hinders the freedom and the creativity that I desire. As I talked about earlier, the brain is limited, the soul and its desires are unlimited. And this is just a beautiful noticing of that for myself. Now, I have cultivated strength and self sufficiency, as I've mentioned, and learning to manage things independently for myself. However, I recognize that I've built walls around myself that sometimes inhibit genuine connection with others. The fear of vulnerability lingers, of being perceived as less than or being seen as weak. And I worry because I'm a human being with a brain. I worry that revealing my messy, imperfect self might lead to rejection. And yet, I know that vulnerability is essential for truth and connection. And I'm actively working to lower all of those walls. This is the surrendering coming in. Now, this fear of not measuring up has been with me for as long as I can remember. Probably, well, I mean, I obviously didn't have that as a baby. I learned it somewhere along the way. But setting high standards for myself comes with the anxiety of failing in the eyes of others and in my own eyes. And despite my many successes, and I've had many successes, there's still an underlying fear that taking bigger leaps or exploring uncharted territory can lead to failure. And sometimes it feels easier to remain where I am than to think about risking falling short of expectations, particularly my own. Now, I've carried the weight of past experiences, some of those positive, some of those painful, for so long that they feel so familiar, almost like a security blanket, even though I know they don't serve me. So I fear that if I let go of these old stories, these old patterns, and these old beliefs that once defined me, that I might lose a part of myself. And yet, I understand that in order to grow, I must release what's holding me back. And I'm going to do exactly that because I'm learning how to embrace the process. Now, while I've worked hard, there's a part of me that still hides behind doing rather than being because it feels safer to be seen as capable, competent, and strong than to reveal my true self, which is sensitive, intuitive, and creative. I fear that if people see all of me, especially the parts that I've kept hidden from them, that they might not resonate or they might not understand. And that fear prevents me from stepping fully into the spotlight and sharing my voice, even though that's what I'm called to do. So I'm hoping that as you listen to me share these truths for myself, that you can see how you probably have some version of this going on for you in this very moment. We are complex as humans. We are full of dualities and polarities, and we have to love on it all. And we also need to think about, and this is question 3, what releases this fear and allows us to step into our personal power. So for me, what helps me release these fears and step into my personal power is a combination of 3 things. It's self awareness around myself, who I am, what matters to me, what I think and believe. It's around trust. Do I have enough trust in myself and faith in myself to be able to do what I need to do for me? And it's intentional action. Those 3 things are the combination. And here's how I'm working through it because it could be useful for you. So the first step for me is releasing my fears, is acknowledging them without judgment. And I must admit their existence rather than push them aside or pretend that they don't affect me or pretend that they're not there. I have to accept that they're there. And that acceptance does not mean that I'm giving those fears power. Instead, it provides me the space to understand why they're present. Now, I recognize these fears are often rooted in my past experiences or my protective mechanisms, but bringing them to the surface, and only by doing so can I begin to let them go. I also know that vulnerability is the key to dissolving the fear of being fully seen. When I allow myself to be vulnerable, I'm not only showing the world my true self, but I'm also affirming that I am enough just as I am. I release the fear of judgment and rejection by understanding that my worth is not dependent on others' perceptions. Vulnerability fosters genuine connections with others and within myself, and it empowers me to lead from a place of authenticity. So I'm learning to let go of the need to control everything. Life is unpredictable and it's about to get a whole lot more unpredictable. And trying to control every outcome not only is exhausting, but it limits my growth and the growth of others. So by releasing control, I trust in the flow of life. I remind myself that growth emerges from uncertainty. And by loosening my grip, I create space for new opportunities, new perspectives, and new experiences to be able to show up. So, trusting the process means trusting myself to handle whatever comes my way. Now, I understand that the narratives I've created around failure, perfection, and rejection have shaped my fears. However, these are just stories, which I've talked about before. They are not facts. I have the power to rewrite them. I can replace I am afraid of failing with every experience as an opportunity for growth, whether I succeed or whether I stumble. And by continually reshaping my narratives, I empower myself to take risks and embrace the unknown in more ways than I ever could have before. So, taking intentional action, no matter how small, toward my goals is the thing that releases fear. That's what I've learned. Stepping outside of my comfort zone in incremental, small ways helps me build my confidence. And so too would be the same for you. When I try new things, when I explore uncharted territory, I reinforce the belief that I can handle any of these challenges, and each step taken erodes fear and it allows my inner power to shine. Now, finally, practicing self compassion, which has been a lifelong work for me, reminds me that it's okay to feel fear. Instead of criticizing myself or being afraid, I'm learning to extend kindness and understanding to myself. That shift in perspective enables me to honor my feelings without allowing them to define me. So, in conclusion, leaders, listeners, I invite you to reflect on what you're shedding. What skin do you need to release in your life right now? How can you embrace vulnerability? Trust yourself and step into your personal power. This is the time to rise and allow your true self to shine. I want to thank you so much for being here today. And remember, your journey is uniquely yours. And until next time, next week, I want to invite you to keep leading with authenticity. Thanks so much. Take care and make it a great week. Goodbye. Hey, leader. Thanks for tuning in to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you to embrace your authentic leadership journey. I want to invite you to join my mailing list at www.cynthiajamesoncoach.ca and claim your copy of Your Inner Compass, a guide to charting your course to authenticity. This guide will help you understand what truly matters most to you. My vision is to empower individuals to live and lead lives in harmony with their core values, become catalysts for positive change, and navigate transitions, all while fostering connection and belonging in the world. Lastly, your feedback shapes this show, so I would be honored if you would subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you so much for being a part of this community dedicated to authentic leadership. Together, let's make a meaningful difference in this world.